the USS Carl Vinson, what happened? Can you take us through the events from the perspective of the White House that led to the miscommunication, this administration thinking that this vessel was thousands of miles away from its actual location?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the last part?
Can you take us through the events that led people within this administration to believe the vessel was thousands of miles away from its actual location?
Well, I mean, PACOM put out a release talking about the group ultimately ending up in the Korean Peninsula. That's what it will do. I think we were asked very clearly about the use of a carrier group in terms of deterrence and foreign presence and what that meant. I think that's what we discussed. I would refer you back to any other issues with that to the Department of Defense.
Does the President believe that he might have spoken too quickly on this location of the vessel before it was actually arriving?
The President said that we have an armada going towards the peninsula. That's a fact. It happened. It is happening, rather. Yeah.
Sean, I just want to follow up on that. You know, obviously when the President of the United States says there's military hardware going to a region in the middle of a crisis on the Korean Peninsula, the allies of the United States are encouraged. When that happens to not be the case, they can interpret that as a false encouragement. So how is this White House explaining to South Korea and Japan that in fact during the build-up and the actual DPRK missile launch, there was no USS Carl Vinson?
No, but well, respectfully, Jessica, I would ask you to either touch base with PACOM or the Department of Defense. The statement that was put out was that the Carl Vinson group was headed to the Korean Peninsula. It is headed to the Korean Peninsula. It'll arrive there. What's that?
It's headed there now. It wasn't headed there
Sure,
last
no,
week.
but that's not what we ever said. We said that it was heading there, and it was heading there. It is heading there. So that remains.
Maybe an impression that allies had.
But if there's an impression, then that's not. Then there should have been clarification from people who were seeking it. But I mean, PACOM put out a release talking about what its ultimate destination was going to be, and that's where it ended up. Caitlin.
Well, why did the administration never clarify? Because it definitely, the intent in media reports was that it was headed there now, and now it's going to be there
But that
2 weeks
wasn't,
later.
with all due respect, that's not my. We were asked a question. I know, no, that's not true. What I was asked was what signal did it send that it was going there, and I answered that question correctly at the time. That it signaled foreign presence, strength, and a reassurance to our allies. That's a true statement. You're asking me why you didn't know better. I don't know. That's a question that should have been followed up with either PACOM or the Department of Defense. But the only question that we were asked was what signal it sent, and I think we answered that very correctly at the time.
I think it was a little misleading. No one found out about it until a picture was posted on a
What do you mean? What part is misleading? I'm trying to figure that out. We were asked a question about what signal it sent. We answered the question on what signal it sent. I'm not the one who commented on timing.
What's misleading is that people thought it was headed there now, and now it's going to be there weeks later. They thought it was already headed there.
But again,
It was
that's
an exercise.
I understand the question, right? But what I'm getting at is, it was announced that it was going. It will be there. We were asked simply a question on that. I think all other questions should be asked of the Department of Defense. John.
Thanks a lot, Sean. Earlier today, China's foreign ministry spokesman said that China is increasingly frustrated with North Korea. And North Korea, you may have seen it, put out a simulated video over the past 24 hours which shows its missiles attacking, destroying an American city. What's the American White House reaction to that video and also to the comments by China's foreign ministry spokesperson?
Well, the first part, this isn't the first time that North Korea has put out propaganda tools, and I don't think we're going to comment on every time they put out a piece of propaganda. Second, I think it's encouraging to see China continue to move forward and join us in this effort to control North Korea. I've commented before, I think that the relationship that the President started building with President Xi down in Mar-a-Lago is clearly showing some positive signs. China continues to have both economic and political influence over China, and so I think it's important to see them heading in this direction. I think it's a very positive sign to see them play a larger and larger role. I think it is in everybody's interest to contain North Korea's action.